Yes, thanks, Steve. The teams have just emerged here at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace against Wolves. So this is our DAB and Freeview commentary. So again, as Steve says, a split in the services now. If you want to hear Liverpool against Aston Villa, which will include updates from this game, but the Liverpool Villa commentary is on 95.6 FM now. Here on DAB and Freeview, we're at Selhurst Park, where it's summertime. This is the sort of weather we should have had on the opening weekend of the season, when it was so dreary. But now the kids are going back to school and a lot of people are going back to work. It looks as though it's going to be hot and sunny all the week. Isn't that the way? The teams are lining up in front of me in the main stand. Selhurst Park, if you have been here at any point in the last 40 years, it's not changed very much. We're still in the next door to the supermarket. On the behind the wall of the stand away to my left, the Wolves fans are under the low roof of the stand opposite me, the Arthur Waite stand on the on my left as I'm looking across towards that part of the ground, and those at the front are shielding their eyes from the sun to look across and see the teams shaking hands with Robert Jones, the referee, and about to get set. Wolves, of course, in gold and black, and Crystal Palace in their blue and red half shirts. And these are the teams. Wolves with two changes from the team that started at Everton. Rayan Aït-Nouri and Pablo Sarabia come back in for Hugo Bueno and Hwang Hee-chan. And Hwang is on the bench. Despite the hamstring injury that he's had recently, he is there, and so is Bueno, but Aït-Nouri and Sarabia come in. So assuming that Sarabia will play wide and Matheus Cunha will stay behind Fabio Silva, it will be Jose Sarr in goal, Nelson Semedo, Craig Dawson, Maximilian Kilman and Rayan Aït-Nouri. In midfield, João Gomes and Mario Lemina, with Pedro Neto and Pablo Sarabia wide and Matheus Cunha supporting Fabio Silva. On the bench, Matt Doherty, Boubacar Traoré, Hwang Hee-chan, Hugo Bueno, Sasa Kalajdzic, Totti, Enzo Gonzalez, Nathan Fraser and Dan Bentley. You'll note that the other three new signings this week, Santi Bueno, Jean-Rickner Bellegarde and Tommy Doyle, are not included in the squad today. We'll see them after the international break, no doubt. For Crystal Palace, it's the same team for the fourth successive Premier League game to start the season. So Sam Johnston remains in goal despite the signing this week of Dean Henderson from Manchester United. Tyrick Mitchell, Mark Gahey, Joachim Andersen and Joel Ward are the back four. In midfield, Jefferson Lerma of Bournemouth last season and Cheick Doucouré. Then Jeffrey Schlupp, Eberechi Eze and Jordan Ayew behind the striker Odsonne Edouard. And the referee has the teams ready. So again, one more reminder, if you're switching on for Liverpool against Aston Villa, that's on 95.6 FM now. 95.6 FM for Liverpool against Aston Villa. On DAB and Freeview, it is Crystal Palace against Wolves, and there is the whistle to start the first half, with Wolves, as I'm looking at it, from the opposite side to the Wolves fans, and I think the opposite side of the television cameras as well, are as I see it, from left to right in the first half. So if you're watching the telly and using this commentary, I'm sorry if that's confusing. Not half as confusing as it would be for me to try and do it the other way around. But Wolves playing from left to right as I'm seeing it in gold and black. And Crystal Palace in red and blue half shirts, blue shorts and socks as ever. And it's a packed full stadium. It's not one of the largest in the Premier League, of course, but it is one of the most atmospheric in many ways, and the Wolves fans have been contributing to that. They've lost the ball in the corner, Rayan Aït-Nouri, but across from near the corner on that far side, he's blocked on its way through by Kilman and cleared to halfway. Palace, though, moving the ball forward again. A loose touch by Schlupp allows an opening for Semedo to bring the ball clear, and here is Semedo on the right, playing it short for Sarabia, and Cunha coming off the right as well. Pushed it slightly behind Nelson Semedo as he ran on down the right touchline, but he recovers the ball and turns it away from Tyrick Mitchell and back to Craig Dawson, right-sided centre-back for Wolves. Forward to Cunha, and now get João Gomes, and he just trips over the feet of Edouard, and it's a free kick. It's on halfway to Wolves. Sarabia, he's lining up on the right, and Cunha in a more central position. But a couple of times in those early moments, Sarabia had come over to the right to help out. And now Semedo trying again from the halfway line. Infield to Joao Gomez. Forward towards Sarabia, who's again on the right touchline, but running back from an offside position. So it's going to be a free kick to Crystal Palace, just in front of me in their left-back corner. And they roll it across to the young centre-half, Cahill, ready with 4 England caps. Granted to him by Gareth Southgate, a former Palace player, of course. And the ball moved back to Sam Johnston to start Palace on their way. Liverpool already have the lead against Aston Villa in only a couple of minutes at Anfield. Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 0. Long ball forward down the Palace left, and over comes Sarr to the right edge of his penalty area to pick up. So Liverpool 1, Villa 0 is the early goal in our FM game. And 0-0 here, and a long diagonal ball from Dawson, headed back down the centre from Anderson, up above Fabio Silva. But Wolves try again with a cross from Neto on the left, and that's turned away. So Neto on the left and Sarabia for the moment towards the right is the way that Wolves have lined up, which maybe is not quite the way around we would have anticipated. Long ball on the Palace right. He's well beyond Edouard, who's had nothing to work with so far. And we are out back to the goalkeeper. Long ball out down the centre from Sarr and headed back towards halfway. Eza headed on to, again looking for Edouard, didn't find him, and Wolves have it, enjoying quite a bit of the early possession, but given away here by Joao Gomez, who's passed forward, didn't find a goal shirt. Lamina sliding in though to win it back, and Palace a little bit loose in the centre of the field, and now Cunha coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area, maybe looking for a shooting angle, but then plays a weak pass to Neto, who's come over to the right this time, and it's cut out by Mitchell. And that was a pity, really, because that was potentially an opening for Matheus Cunha, who carried the ball forward strongly, but saw his pass easily intercepted. But forward come Wolves again. Cunha moving it to his right, and Sarabia. Mitchell interrupts it, and away comes Eza. Did he have his ankle clipped by Lamina? No. The referee had a good look and says no, and Lamina keeps the ball. And Wolves, who've been outgunned in midfield against Palace in both games, I felt, last season, and certainly here, have started in a much more robust way so far, with Lamina at the heart of that. And quite well beaten here, 2-0 in October last year. That was one of the Steve Davis games, although Hugo Bueno, as I remember, made his first real major impression in that match, and he's continued to prosper ever since. It's the first time he'd really caught the eye for me. Boubacar Traoré made his debut in that game too. Forward comes Silva, out to the left, and Neto up against Ward, checks back and gives it to Aït-Nouri. Now Neto again from the Wolves left, and Aït-Nouri again being steered back by Jordan Ayew, who's on that right side, and Wolves keep possession and move all the way back to halfway. Start again with Aït-Nouri. Wolves enjoying a lot of the football. The Palace fans making the rhythm, but it's Wolves setting the tone of the match with most of the ball in these first 6 minutes. Dawson to his left, gives it to Kilman, edge of the centre circle, lobs a ball forward, trying to drop it behind Anderson. Silva was looking to chase in there. Anderson recovered his ground, and now it's brought away from the edge of the penalty area by Doucouré. There's a run being started on the right by Ayew, but plays it to Edouard down the centre. Never had control of that as Kilman bore down on him and tripped himself up, and now Gomez picks up the ball for Wolves and gives it to his left and Silva, and further left to Neto, corner of the penalty area. Neto's going to take on Ford, gets his cross in, and Anderson making a sliced attempt to clear, turns it behind for a first Wolves corner, continuing Wolves early pressure, and Anderson was almost forced into a mistake. He was trying to volley it clear, but it was a cross with some pace by Neto, who has got just past Joel Ward for the first time. 7th minute, 0-0. Over on the left, Dawson and Silva are near the penalty spot, so is Kilman. And Lemina's there too, and Aït-Nouri making a late run, and it was towards Aït-Nouri and Dawson, and a strong header by Anderson away. And it comes again from Lemina, and Silva on the turn, struggling to keep that shot down. Ward stayed very tight to him, and Silva trying to wrap his leg around. It's his shot well over. And we've had 7 minutes, 0-0. You're with BBC Radio WM. Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 0 in 95.6 FM game. It's Wolves at Crystal Palace on DAB and Freeview, and it's just you and me. So if you want to drop me a message to make a contribution to the commentary, I'm happy to take them and read them out during a lull. If you want to get in touch with me, you can drop me an email to this address, mike.taylor.02@bbc.co.uk. That gets your message to me in the press box. mike.taylor.02@bbc.co.uk. Or you can send me a tweet to @SportBBCWM, @SportBBCWM. And I've all played forward down the right, chased by Eze. But away by Lemina in the first instance, who tracked back with him. And away comes to João Gomes, who's tripped by Schlupp near the edge of his own penalty area. And it's a free kick to Wolves. So if you want to share a thought about Wolves' transfer business this week, or any of the developments, Nunes out and a series of players in, then I'm keen to hear your thoughts about that. Mike.taylor.02@bbc.co.uk. It's a free kick again to Wolves in the centre. Foul this time, and Schlupp is being spoken to by the referee. In fact, it's Gurhi being spoken to after made a foul well up the field on Gomez. Dawson's got to his feet rather gingerly in a separate incident over on this near touchline, and Dawson seems to have taken a knock there. Maybe there'll be a replay to catch up and show us how that happened, but that was off the ball, I think. Edouard was after him. Edouard just caught him after the ball had gone, so the referee could have blown a whistle for that. But he blew for a secondary foul on Gomez. But that one just hurt Dawson a little bit. Now Gomez carrying the ball forward well. He's come all the way into the penalty area and tries a shot from an angle, drills it into the leg of the defender, or tried to. In fact, it's gone straight behind for a goal kick. And Gomez apologises to the players who were making a run to his left. There were 3 of them, but Gomez only had thoughts of driving towards goal, and that might not have been the best option there. Nevertheless, he carried the ball forward well, and Wolves have so far been in charge of midfield, and it has been a very tidy first 10 minutes. 0-0 here. 1-0 Liverpool lead Aston Villa in a 95.6 FM game. It's a header forward from halfway for Wolves, but it falls short of Cunha, and Gurhi gives it to Lerma, who notably waves to his teammates and says, slow the game down a bit. It's being played at Wolves' pace at the moment. Forward from Lerma now, and good harrying by Semedo has forced the ball away from Schlupp, who collided with Semedo after the ball had gone there. Referees invites Wolves to play on, seeing as they've got the ball and moved it back to Jose Sarr. He might have noted that. Now forward comes Kilman. Now across to Dawson, who plays a long diagonal pass out to the right. But Ward heads it away. Now here's Lemina. To the left touchline, driving infield is Neto, and into Cunha. Back to Lemina. Wolves again having all the possession. Yet to really create a clear chance. We've seen the Silva shot on the turn, but it was always odds against. But nevertheless, it's a very efficient start away from home, keeping the Palace threat to a minimum. Home fans are trying to pick up their team with a burst of their anthem Glad All Over by the Dave Clark 5 that accompanied the teams as they came onto the field. Here's a pass out to the right. Low to the edge of the penalty area, delivered by Cunha, and it didn't reach by Semedo. It didn't reach Cunha, and then the ball was fired against the shins of Sarabia as he tried to pick it up, and it cannons out for a goal kick. 12 minutes, 0-0. I'll update listeners to 95.6 FM shortly in the middle of the Villa commentary as to the early progress here. But it's 0-0. And Johnston plays a short pass from the edge of his penalty area out to Mitchell now. And forward down the left, but it's too short of Edouard. There's been nothing at all for him to work with, or any of the other Palace forwards yet. They've been very unproductive in possession. And now Gomez and Cunha scuffling near this right touchline to try and keep the ball for Wolves, and they did so for a moment. Semedo tried to work a 1-2 with Cunha, but it went astray and out for a throw. 13 minutes, Palace 0, Wolves 0, but Wolves setting the tempo of this game, even as the Palace fans have tried to give it some rhythm. There's been none at all from the home team, who in both games against Wolves last season had a grip on midfield, but quite the reverse has been true in the early stages of this match, with Lemina and João Gomez shaping up well and snuffing out Palace possession at every opportunity. Yet to launch a serious attack, Palace. Silva had one shot on the turn from a difficult situation that was blocked, but it remains 0-0. Now, during that update, Eza was carrying the ball forward towards the Wolves penalty area, went down right at the edge of the box, thought he'd been tripped, or at least the fans did. No, there was nothing doing from the referee. Palace have worked it to the right, but a deep crossover from that side is too deep for Edouard, and it's gone behind for a goal kick. I'm just seeing a replay on the little screen here of Eza, and he tried to turn inside. His challenger had come back with him, who was João Gomez. Ooh, and Gomez left his leg there for a moment, but whether VAR are checking it don't appear to have drawn the referee's attention to anything. So, VAR are checking it now. They are checking to see whether João Gomez has caught Eza. This is going to be a tight one. Difficult to necessarily conclusively show it one way or the other on the replay, and that might be enough to go with the decision on the field. Wolves will be hoping so. Eza was making a run on the left and then turned sharply to the right. Gomez was going the wrong way, trying to get out of the way, but the referee says, Sarr, wait before you take the goal kick. He's dying to get on with it, because then the game will be moving again. But the referee is waiting for words in his ear. Now, has Gomez touched him? We're seeing a little zoom in, but on the very small screen I've got, it's far too fuzzy to make a definite conclusion on that. And I think VAR have given the benefit of the doubt to the on-field decision, and João Gomez has just about, I reckon, got away with that. I think it might have been one of those that it was always going to end up with the referee's decision on the field, because the TV replay wasn't conclusive either way. I suspect if you... Oh, and now a pullback pass out by Sarr, and Wolves have got to block it off the line, and they've done it just well. Sarr was dawdling at the edge of his penalty area, tried to play it out short, and it was picked off by one of the Palace forwards, Edouard, but then Palace in their turn were too fussy, because rather than try and knock it straight into the goal, Schlupp tried to pass instead, and then a side foot finish was blocked on the line by Kilman, sliding across just in time. And what an escape for Wolves from that error at the back. Sarr played it to a defender. He's nearly done it again with Ayew this time, right at the shoulder of Kilman, and Wolves almost fell into exactly the same trap. They've got to watch that, just playing it out short from the edge of the penalty area. They want to keep possession, but it was almost at the expense of a Palace gift. Now Wolves breaking well through the centre, carrying it forward was Neto, out to the left of the penalty area, and here's Cunha trying to turn towards goal, and he gets away from the challenge of Cahill eventually, but then there's Ward coming in as the second line of defence to clear it. So suddenly the game is sparking after the VAR check against for Gomez's challenge on Eza, and then that blunder by Sarr, playing the ball to a teammate inside his own penalty area who had a Palace player right on his shoulder. And somehow they've got away with it with a Kilman goal line clearance. And forward to halfway comes Jordan Ayew for Palace. And rather than carry on going forward, to the disappointment of the home fans, he checks back. And you could hear what they thought about that. Kept Palace possession, but they wanted to see Palace starting to dictate terms a little bit, because it's been Wolves who've set the pace so far. Forward come Palace on the right. Ball played in towards Eza, and he's challenged firmly by Kilman. And there's no foul, and a crossfield pass from the left from Neto, chased over to the right by Sarabia, and he has control of it with Mitchell at his back. Plays it back down the touchline for Semedo. 18th minute, 0-0 at Selhurst, and Dawson plays the ball across to his left, and Kilman chipping it into the penalty area, and it's gone over Gurhi's head. He realises at the last moment that he can leave it. And it goes out for a goal kick. And Wolves will be encouraged by so many things in the early moments of this match, but they haven't yet really created a clear chance, and they very nearly presented a goal to Crystal Palace, and that would have felt like a proper slap in the face if they'd given a goal like that. Here come Palace working it from the right. This time they have got a bit of an opening for Edouard, and players coming back to challenge him, but Edouard's released Ayew on the right, and Ayew's cross, and Eze couldn't make it, and Schlupp knocks it back in from wide on the left side of the penalty area, but couldn't really put any pace on the ball, and Sarr picks up. But that was a more encouraging move for the home fans, as for the first time they found an angle for Edouard, who then drew three defenders, having collected the ball, and Ayew's cross was a good-looking one, and Eze couldn't make it. He was the man it was really intended for at the near post. Schlupp just tapped it eventually through to the goalkeeper on the stretch. Forward goes Ayew, and this time he does get a decision for a bump by Fabio Silva. It was more about the angle he was tackling from rather than whether he got the ball or not. Can't come in from there, so it's a Palace free kick. Jezza tweets me and says, I'm happy with the players we let go and we brought in. My only regret is we didn't get Che Adams from Southampton, as then I'd have given us 10 out of 10 for our business. However, we might get him in the next window. So says Jezza. Thank you for your tweet. At Sport BBC WM on Twitter, or you can email me to mike.taylor.02 at bbc.co.uk if you want to chip into this commentary with your thoughts. Thank you, Jezza. 0-0. Here's the free kick delivered from the right by Eze and caught comfortably by Sarr, who I thought last week was very much in control of his penalty area, claiming most things that came his way. But he needs to be watching the short passes out. Got away with one a few moments ago, but it stays 0-0, and we've just gone to 20 minutes on BBC Radio WM, on DAB Digital Radio and Freeview Channel 722. Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 0 in our 95.6 FM option Coventry. Now forward come Wolves on the right. Semedo to Lamina, and it's 2-0 to Liverpool, I'm hearing, in the other game, with a Matty Cash own goal after Nunes had hit the post. So Liverpool leading by 2-0, and Villa already with it all to do at Anfield. Here come Wolves on the right, and Semedo clipping across into the penalty area. There was a bit of indecision there. Johnston could have come for it and didn't. Tacked up in the air by Ward, and it's come out to Gomez looking for a shooting angle. His control wasn't quite tight enough, And that allowed the tackle, and Palace might have a break on with Eza, and he's got Edouard going to his right. Eza coming up on the left of the penalty area. Dawson stayed with him, and Dawson makes a challenge to send it behind for... Is it going to be a corner or a throw on the near side? I think it might be a throw, actually. Just on the left. But Dawson really had to get moving then. It is a corner on the Palace left. Their first corner. 0-0 here in 22 minutes. And Palace, for their first real set-piece opportunity, loading Gurhey forward. The centre-half, Wolves have got everybody apart from Neto back defending the 6-yard line almost, and Sarr makes another good catch. Now Neto's on his way, trying to chase the long throw out. Ward is the man back with him, and Ward takes no risks and whacks it into the stand for a throw. Near to the Wolves fans, halfway through the first half. It stays 0-0. Throw on the left to Neto and back out to the touchline. Short by Aït-Nouri. Neto trying to make further ground on the touchline. Silva knocked it back into his path, and Wolves have done well there in an unpromising situation to keep possession and work it infield. Inside the Palace half, Lamina to Sarabia. A run being made by Cunha down the centre, but it was a difficult angle from Sarabia to find him directly. And it's picked up by the goalkeeper, and forward come Liverpool. Up to Eza, and back now for Anderson. Here is Jefferson Lerma, summer signing, a free transfer from Bournemouth, former Bournemouth Player of the Year, and 35 times Colombian international. Jefferson Lerma, very experienced. Out to the left it goes to Mitchell, and oh dear, Semedo with a needless foul here and a trip on Schlupp. Schlupp was getting away from him. He was heading towards the corner flag, but it's going to be a yellow card. 24 minutes, 0-0, but although it's Wolves been setting most of the pace here and controlling most of the possession, they did almost gift Palace a goal a few moments ago. José Sarr with a short pass out toward João Gomes. It was inside his penalty area, but they didn't see or didn't realise that Schlupp was on Gomez' shoulder. He made the tackle, and Jordan Ayew had a chance to plant the ball into the corner. Maximilian Kilman sliding in at the last moment, cleared it off the line. It was all very needless. Other than that, Palace's only threat came from one Eza run on the left. When he tried to turn in field, he was challenged by João Gomes, who was really trying to get out of the way. After a long VAR check, there was no penalty. Wolves having much of the ball, but not yet to really create a chance. 24 minutes, 0-0. And now Semedo is booked, and here's the corner cross for the free kick from the left-hand side. That's punched away by the goalkeeper. I think FM listeners are staying with us for a moment. We'd lost our line to Anfield. We'll be back there soon. Here's Schlupp putting a cross in from the left, and leading back was the header was Edouard, and he's headed over the top of the goal comfortably. He was in a decent position, but he wasn't able to get up above the cross. He was always stretching for it and couldn't control his header, and it stays 0-0. 25 minutes. Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0. For FM listeners, we'll be back at Anfield shortly, and Sarr almost caught out again with another of the short passes out. It was quickly returned to him, and it was an awkward bouncing one, and he did well to get that under control and whack it away before the runner coming in on him, Edouard, got there. Wolves causing more of their own problems than Palace are causing for them. We'll be back at Anfield as soon as we've re-established our line there for listeners on 95.6 FM. Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Cash own goal, the most recent strike, and I think FM listeners can go back now to Steve Hearn at Anfield. Pass forward on the right for Palace towards Eza, and a challenge by Lamina. The fans wanted something, but didn't get it. Now there's a bit of push and shove. The referee had given a free kick, and Ayew's not happy with the attention he's getting from Ryan Aït-Nouri, and in the end, Ayew made a bit of a meal of it, and Aït-Nouri took exception. The referees had to go over and try and calm it down, as tempers getting a little bit frayed, and a yellow card now for Aït-Nouri. So both Wolves fullbacks have been booked in the last few moments. Ayew maybe thought that his shirt was being tugged by Aït-Nouri, and it might have been, but it's the referee's job to sort that out, and not Ayew's. And he might be doing well to avoid a yellow card himself, given the low tolerance there is of dissent at the moment. It looks as though he has, so it's only Aït-Nouri who is booked in that incident, having collided with Ayew. So 0-0 it is, and Aït-Nouri seemed to be the instigator there. I didn't see a card for Ayew. So Semedo and Aït-Nouri have picked up yellow cards recently. Already both of them on 2 for the season. Here comes a free kick delivered by Eza and headed up and away, but only to the left, where Anderson hooks it back in, and Sarr making another good claim there in a crowd. He tried to get it away quickly down the left-hand side, and Wolves were saying that Neto was hampered, and that's why he fell as he tried to chase that ball. But the referee either perhaps wasn't looking in that direction, but didn't believe that it was a foul anyway, so has given nothing, and Neto's not very happy. And there are 1 or 2 fuses burning a little short out in the sunshine. Needless to say, I'm not in the sunshine here. I'm deep back in this stand in the shadows. Won't be the best place. Here's Neto playing a pass to the right, and Sarabia's in an advanced position here and pulls his cross in to find Cunha, who shoots on the turn and well blocked by Guehi. Out to Semedo, and uses Sarabia again, looking for a left-footed delivery, this time looping towards Neto, and Ward comes out and wins a real one for the camera's header. He was able to get up and jump strongly onto that to head it clear. Crowd like that. Back it comes to Aït-Nouri. Now on the left, Neto, short to Cunha, but he turns straight into the defender, Anderson, and the referee says that's a foul by Anderson. So Wolves have got one there. Anderson, yeah, just looking at the replay, just reached out to block Cunha's run as Cunha tried to deflect the ball past him. So it stays 2-0. It stays 0-0 here, so say 2-0 at Anfield, but Wolves are going to have a free kick. And nobody's queuing up to take it quickly. Neto is just coming across for a chat with Lemina, who, although he might not have the armband, he's no doubt one of the leaders on the field. Mario Lemina certainly made a difference, stiffening Wolves' sinews a bit after he was signed last season. Now the free kick lifted across the penalty area, and over comes Lemina. That was obviously what the chat was about, and he just stretches to bring that under control and sets it back for Semedo. Semedo lifting the ball in towards Dawson. It's headed away only to Silva, and Silva trying to turn and shoot with half the players on the field in front of him. Perhaps inevitably gets underneath it and hits the ball way off target. 30 minutes, 0-0. Many good things about Wolves' first 30 minutes here, but as yet not a goal and not a really clear opportunity of one, and that's the one area where they haven't yet been able to capitalise. Otherwise, it's been a very good away performance. Now Mitchell forward towards halfway, and Schlupp had that under control, and then as he went to earth under the attentions of Semedo, the referee awards a free kick. Semedo's looking across at the fourth official as to say, what have I done there? But he would do well not to protest, given that he's already yellow carded. Anderson out to the right for Ayew, who had the clearest chance of the game so far from that Sarr blunder earlier, but Kilman rescued it. Out to the Palace left, Mitchell infield to Lerma. Edouard turns it out to Eza. This is well worked by Palace. Mitchell clipping the ball back in from the left. It was towards Edouard and blocked on its way through by Sarabia had gone back to help, and now Cunha is coming clear with the ball through the centre, and he's played a pass that Neto's after down the left, but it's too strong. It's a shame. Neto read the intentions then, he was on his way there, but the pass from Cunha wasn't quite right. The idea was right, but the execution not quite, and it stays 0-0. We've got another sporting commentary option this afternoon. Incidentally, there's the Wolves game here and the Villa game on FM. We've also got cricket on the BBC Sport website with Worcestershire back in the county championship today. That's just a relatively short distance from here. It's a long way to drive it, but a short distance in actual terms to the Oval, where Surrey and Warwickshire are in their first day. Surrey 171 for 3 after Warwickshire put them in this morning, and that continues live on the BBC Sport website throughout the day, and indeed through until Wednesday. If you want to pick up cricket, there's still plenty of that going on for the next month or so, when we'll have all Warwickshire's games live in full on the BBC Sport website. Surrey 171 for 3 against Warwickshire there. 0-0 Crystal Palace and Wolves here. Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0 on 95.6 FM. And the ball is out for a goal kick at the Wolves end to my left, where Sarr brings it to the edge of the box, then plays a very casual pass which Dawson has to hurry to keep in play, and Semedo plays it against Edouard. This isn't working. In one respect, I understand why they're playing the short pass, because they want to keep possession, and they've made it difficult for Palace, but they're not precise enough in doing it, and it's worrying. You can argue that the opposite tactic wouldn't be any better, because you'd just be giving the ball back to Palace anyway, but at least you'd be doing it further down the field. However, these are the tensions in the Wolves' tactics at the moment. 0-0, Neto coming forward from the left, short to Aït-Nouri, and they exchange 2 or 3 passes between each other before going back down the touchline for Lemina, and forward now for Neto. For Aït-Nouri, he tries to cut in field, and challenge made successfully, but Wolves have it back, and a pass played forward to Aït-Nouri, who's still well advanced, and Silva trying to find Aït-Nouri again, and Silva again, left side of the penalty area, lots of short passes. Neto set up for a drive, and it's blocked on its way through by Anderson. That was well worked by Wolves, but Anderson saw the danger and blocked the low shot from Neto. It's come out to Neto, and he plays it back down the left touchline to Kilman. Kilman across to Dawson, with now 11 minutes to go in the first half. Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0, and a pass out to the left by Dawson, controlled after a couple of touches by Neto, and puts it onto his right foot to lift across in high. It was a loopy one, and Mitchell underneath it guided it past Semedo, who sets it back up for Gomez to try again. Gomez is crossing towards Cunha, was headed clear, and Ayew struggling to battle his way clear. His short pass was straight to Semedo, and now Palace can't break out. Gomez at the edge of the centre circle, short to Lemina. Lemina curving the pass out to the left, and played forward to Kilman, and then to Silva, and Anderson's poked the ball out of play for a throw to Wolves, taken short to Gomez. Gomez now to Cunha, who is chased by Doucouré, but again Palace not neat enough in possession once they won it back, and Wolves have it and sets up Semedo to try and drive in a shot, and it looked as though it might have touched another player's boots on the way through, but it could have been Silva's as he tried to run onto it, but it's dribbled well wide. And with 9.5 minutes to go in the first half, there's been a lot for Gary O'Neill to be encouraged by in the way his team have controlled the tempo of the match, but still waiting to find a breakthrough. 0-0, and a long clearance out to the left from Johnston, and that's swept out of play, and Wolves have it back with a throw taken by Semedo. Returned to him by Gomez, back to Craig Dawson, and now across for Kilman. edge of the penalty area. Some more competition for those defensive places now, as well as Totti. There's also Santiago Bueno. He's not in the squad today. We'll look forward to seeing him after the international break. The window signing from Girona. Forward comes Sarabia, and on the right trying to bring in Semedo, but good defending by Mitchell, who just about got to the ball, and then Semedo was holding him. So it gives a free kick to Villa near the left corner. It stays 0-0. I'm just waiting to do an update into the Villa commentary in a few moments for listeners on 95.6. But it stays Palace 0, Wolves 0 here. And the ball is with the Palace goalkeeper Johnston. Sam Johnston, who gave service to Aston Villa for 2 seasons and West Bromwich Albion for 4. His future as the #1 here is called somewhat into question by their outlay of £15 million on Dean Henderson this week, but he's started today. Forward come Wolves again from inside their own half. Edouard has stayed down inside near the edge of the Wolves penalty area, and the referee, after Wolves go forward towards halfway without any great pace, now blows the whistle for some treatment for Edouard, who had a bump with Dawson. Didn't look to be a lot in his. He might just have caught Dawson with his finger, poked him in the eye or something like that for a moment, but Edouard is getting some ascension. Dawson had his eyes on the ball throughout. It certainly wasn't a foul. But it's 0-0, 7 minutes to go to half-time. Wolves have... the only problems they've been put in have been ones they've created themselves from the occasional short pass out. But Wolves trying to use the ball carefully from the back to make sure they keep possession. It's worked for the most part, and they have surely had the larger share of possession in this first half and denied Palace much of the ball to be able to create anything. But a couple of times have been caught out. Still that one occasion when the blunder fell to Jordan Ayew, who couldn't convert and beat Kilman's goal line clearance, is the nearest either team has been to a goal in a first half where otherwise Wolves have set the tone impressively. They've had a grip on midfield, which they certainly haven't had in recent games against Crystal Palace, and they have more than frustrated the home team. If only they could create a little bit more for their own forwards. With 6 minutes to go though in the first half, it's still Palace 0, Wolves 0. Now we've got a bit of a hiatus with Edouard off the field, having a drink. And the game resumes with the referee asking Wolves to carry on more or less from where they left off. And here's Kilman doing just that. Giving to João Gomez. And he's got Semedo going up on the right, with Sarabia in the centre. To Semedo, and Semedo to Lamina, and out to the left for Aït-Nouri. And again, Wolves keeping the possession, drying up the opportunities for Crystal Palace, but Dawson almost caught in possession just inside the Palace half. Now there's an opportunity for an early whack forward, and he's surely offside here. Edouard, he's picked up the ball over on the left, but we won't know for a while, I suppose, until we see where he's done with it. And he drives the ball towards the goalkeeper, and he's not flanked. It was from a wide angle, and Sarr had it covered, made the catch, but presumably if Edouard had come up with something, then it would have stood. But he looked offside in the first place. It was near the halfway line, so maybe he did spring the trap, but in the end it doesn't matter, because he was all alone and didn't do anything effective with it. Just took it wide and then made the angle fairly straightforward for the goalkeeper Jose Sarr to catch. At last a bit of running room for Doucouré now for Palace, trying to play a pass through for Eza, but it was well read again by Kilman, who followed the eyes of the passer and stepped in ahead of the ball, and away come Wolves working it out to the left, up towards the edge of the penalty area, and Neto working it onto his right foot and letting go the shot. Johnston had to be sharp to that and tip it over the bar. Nearest Wolves have been so far, coming in 42 minutes. And Neto, who has been very busy without having much go his way, a few step overs to open the angle. And it looked as though it might have taken a deflection before Johnston tipped it over. Either way, it's definitely a Wolves corner. Palace 0, Wolves 0. But Wolves looking for a goal to underline their first half general superiority. Here's the corner, and it almost came for Dawson, just went beyond him. It was a good-looking delivery, but he didn't quite make the touch. Being quite closely challenged, as you'd expect. A pass out to the left, and Neto tries another cross, and Cunha and Kilman were still there. Cunha headed it through the 6-yard box, and Sarabia had a lash at it from the right side of the penalty area and sprayed it well wide. So 2 half chances for Wolves. That was a good-looking cross from Neto with his left foot, but Dawson, if anything, arrived too soon, and he might have taken it away from Fabio Silva, who was standing there with his arms out. Dawson, having jumped for it, then couldn't get out of the way, and the ball hit him as he was trying to lean back out of the way of it and went over. Ball out to the right, chip forward over there by the fullback Ward, up towards halfway, and a little push by Edouard. So a free kick to Wolves, who are finishing the first half again strongly. Trying to create another clear chance. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. Arsenal against Manchester United is a 4:30 kickoff. In Scotland, Kyogo Furahashi's goal for Celtic won the Old Firm game at Ibrox today. Here's a free kick into the penalty area, and it's right over the top by Kilman. And bouncing out for a goal kick. That was a bit of a waste. 0-0. Johnston's gone to pick it up, and he's not hurrying to get the game going again. I think Palace will need a bit of a rethink. In this fixture last season, they seemed to be in charge all the way through. But this afternoon's been very different to that. Long, flat drive forward by Johnston, headed back towards halfway, and collected there by Lerma, and he's played a pass out to the left, but there was nobody there, and he must have seen that. He then sort of waves after Schlupp as if to say, why aren't you chasing that? But surely he must have seen it from where he was. It's gone out for a Wolves throw on the near side there right, and Semedo near the right back corner flag. He's challenged there by Eze, puts another foot in, forces the ball out for a throw. We're coming up towards 45 minutes at the end of the first half. We've only had a couple of stoppages. See what the fourth official is going to put up. Usually something these days. Forward it goes, out to the left touchline, and Mitchell level with the edge of the penalty area, back to Eze, and knocks it short to Edouard, and back to Eze, and Semedo made a good challenge there. Edouard had the ball come cannoning back to him, and he wasn't quite ready for it. Lamida is working his way out of defence, and forward we go on the left. Throw taken by Mitchell, thrown back to Gurhey, and here's Anderson. Anderson lifting it forward, headed on by Schlupp, and away by Semedo. Forward goes Schlupp again, and a challenge by Gomez. And away we come on the right with Sarabia. A block there by Lerma, coming across to interrupt the Wolves' momentum. And out it goes for a throw into the first minute of added time. And here's Cunha with the throw, and he's disappointed they don't get another one as Semedo challenges with the opposing number 22, Odsonne Edouard. 4 seasons a Celtic player, Odsonne Edouard won 3 titles in Scotland before coming to try his luck in the English Premier League. Now Gomez steps away from Jefferson Lerma, plays it to his left for Fabio Silva, and further forward is Neto up towards the corner of the penalty area. Neto to Silva, back heel from Silva. Neto moves it on. Gomez trying to work it in towards Neto. It just became too intricate. Needed somebody to maybe take a shot. Palace wouldn't allow the angle, and Ayers brought the ball out of defence, chased by 3 Wolves players, and eventually tumbles out of play without being fouled. So it's going to be a throw on the left touchline for Wolves, thrown into Lamina. Up towards 2 minutes of added time played at the end of the first half, and 0-0 it remains. Dawson to his right and Semedo. And back for Dawson, he's chipped forward, he's half blocked up in the air, and falls for Lerma of Crystal Palace. Moving out to the left, Schlupp's pulled out towards the touchline, and here he is. And the ball played in low by Schlupp, and it's blocked, comes back to halfway. Paul tweets to say he's listening on DAB. Is he right in saying that Stuart Atwell is on the VAR panel? You are, is my understanding of it. Of course, there's already been one VAR incident in this game, but he gave the benefit of the doubt to João Gomez. So that will have come as a relief to you, Paul, perhaps, because it could have gone the other way. The ball is out for a goal kick to Wolves, 0-0, and we are heading towards the break, with Wolves in charge of so many things in the game. There is the half-time whistle. Well, that was a largely satisfactory first half. They'd like to create 1 or 2 more chances. Only a couple of half chances, really, for Neto, and then for Sarabia shortly afterwards. Silva with 1 shot on the turn, but they certainly kept Palace pretty restricted, and the onus will be on Roy Hodgson to do something different at half-time. Wolves away from home will be content enough for now, and at the break it is Wolves, Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0. We're going to link up with our FM game for a few moments, and then this commentary will resume on DAB and on Freeview channel 722 in around 15 minutes' time.
Early on 3 minutes, Dominik Szoboszlai, the summer signing Hungarian, sweeping it into the back of the net on the half volley after the right wing corner from Alexander-Arnold was missed by everybody inside the penalty area. Superb finish, but a disappointing start from Aston Villa. And then a Matty Cash own goal extended Liverpool's lead on 22 minutes. Ball down the right hand side, Salah with acres of space, played it into the near post. Nunez ricocheted it off the post, and unfortunately bounced back off Cash and into the net. For Aston Villa, there's been a couple of half chances. Diaby curling a shot wide, and Diaby and Watkins also getting on the end of an effort at the near post, but they've not tested Alisson at all in the Brazilian, in the Liverpool goal. No shots on target for Aston Villa. Liverpool dominating possession, and at half-time they lead by 2-0. It's also half-time in the other Premier League game taking place this afternoon at Selhurst Park, and we can get that half-time report. Crystal Palace Wolves from BBC Radio WM's Mike Taylor.
Palace 0, Wolves 0. A very different tone about this match to the 2 meetings between Wolves and Crystal Palace last season, when it felt like the Londoners always were setting the rhythm of the match. Today it's been entirely different. Wolves trying to be cautious in their build-up from the back and guarding possession jealously, have fought hard in midfield when the ball has been with Crystal Palace and quickly won it back. That's had the effect of neutering most of the threat from Palace, even if Wolves haven't necessarily been able to create too many chances from all the ball of the share of the ball that they've had as a result. The biggest danger to the Wolves goal came when they slightly malfunctioned with the short passing routine. Jose Sarr didn't spot that João Gomez had a Palace player, Jeffrey Schlupp, bearing down on him. Schlupp knocked the ball loose. Jordan Ayew took aim carefully to side foot it to the corner of the goal, and out of the corner of his eye didn't see Maximilian Kilman sliding across in time to intercept and slide the ball clear. but that was the biggest threat that the Wolves goal came under. They did worry that Stuart Atwell, the VAR official, would give a penalty against them to overturn Robert Jones's decision of no foul by João Gomes on Eberechi Eze after a quarter of an hour. The replay screen perhaps wasn't clear enough for Atwell to take a view either way, so the decision on the field stood, which was something of a relief after a long VAR check. Wolves creatively didn't create a lot, but Pedro Neto's been busy coming in largely from the left-hand side. He near half-time, after a few step-overs to create the angle, his shot was tipped over by Sam Johnston, and from the resulting corner, Sarabia lashed wide. So not a great deal of end product at either end, but Wolves are dictating the pace of this game. Maybe they'll be able to dictate when to change up a gear as well. At half-time, Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0.
I was so impressed with the performance.
The West Midlands' biggest football phone-in.
I thought we were outstanding.
I think I've just about calmed down. How do you feel after last night?
It's a long time since I've heard St Andrews that noisy.
Let's not get too carried away.
The football phone-in.
The game was shocking.
The apology is utterly pointless. It doesn't give us the point that we thoroughly deserve.
The place just went absolutely nuts.
Back tomorrow from 6.
If it was any more Stonewall, it would have needed planning permission.
BBC Radio WM and BBC Sounds.
I thought it was going amazing, really.
The home of football in the West Midlands.
Yeah, that is where you can react to today's action on BBC Radio WM. The football phone-in back tomorrow from 6 o'clock. At the break, it's not been great here at Anfield. Liverpool 2, Villa 0. As you heard at Selhurst Park, it's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Wolves. Yesterday for our teams, it was win, lose and draw in our 3 commentaries on BBC Radio WM. Walsall felt the noise at the Bescot with a 1-0 victory there, and Albion boss Carlos Corberán wasn't crazy about a late winner for his old side Huddersfield against the Baggies at the Hawthorns, but it was unbeaten Blues who kicked us off at lunchtime against Millwall, and they weren't far away from 3 points at St Andrews.
Saville is the left footer over the ball. There are 4 in the wall. Nisbet, he's got it in! A big hand from John Ruddy, but he couldn't divert it past the post. And Kevin Nisbet, it would be him, wouldn't it? It's 2 in 2 games for him. And the player that Blues were desperate to sign just over 2 years ago finally makes it to St Andrews, but in the visiting team, and scores 6th minute. It's Blues 0, Millwall 1. A run forward from Anderson finds Bacuna, 25 yards out and central. The return ball is too strong, surely. Oh, Anderson got there before the keeper, and it's a penalty. Well, Blues with another late show at the end of a half. Good pace from Anderson, got to the ball before Sarkic, who got the ankle of Keshi Anderson. And 4 minutes into added time, Birmingham City have a penalty. Hogan has been a bit up and down as a penalty taker in his Blues career, but he's scored in each of the last 2 games, and he steps up and it's saved by Sarkic. Sunjic on the rebound, it goes wide, and Scott Hogan misses out from the penalty spot again. Here's Bacuna attacking the corner of the box, lovely threaded ball through, Stansfield! It's 2 in 2 in the lead for Jay Stansfield. Worked brilliantly into the box by Bacuna, but boy did he hit that sweetly. Stansfield is the new hero of the Tilton. 52nd minute, Blues level. Birmingham City 1, Millwall 1.
First time we've been a goal down in the game, showed great character to come back. I think we were the better team on the day as well, and I'm disappointed not to get all 3.
Was there a bit of work to do at half-time? Because things were flat off the back of the penalty save, really, and it could have been buoyant at 1-1, but instead they probably needed a bit of lifting today.
Possibly, but, I thought we started the game really well. Obviously, they scored against the run of play, which certainly did knock us back a little bit. And as the half grew, then we got back into our rhythm. It would have been nice to, of course, gone in 1-1, but it just shows what character we've got in this dressing room. There was a few words said, of course, but it was all positive. And the lads drove that themselves. They know what they needed to do. And Jay's finish again was outstanding. Good little passage of play. Great ball from Bacuna. And, I thought we fully deserved the goal.
Will be picked up by Kasumu on his left foot. In comes his cross, headed away by Yakushlu, but Bergzor brings it down and drills it in. Palmer beaten at his near post, And I'm afraid you can't say Huddersfield don't deserve it, because they do. They've been much the better side here in the opening 33 minutes. Alex Palmer will feel he ought to have done better away to his left. It was fiercely struck by Delano Bergzorg. His first goal for Huddersfield on his full debut. Neil Warnock unmoved, hands still behind his back, but he'll be leaping inside. You can be sure of that. Bergzorg the scorer, Albion 0, Huddersfield 1. The space on the right for Wiles. Wiles drills it, blocked by Townsend. Runs on for Malumbi. Malumbi with a first-time ball to Thomas Asante. If he releases Swift, then he's in here. Swift one-on-one with the keeper. Equalises. Albion on the counter-attack. Huddersfield wide open from their own corner. And when Brandon Thomas Asante fed John Swift, he was away into the Huddersfield area and gave Lee Nichols, the keeper, no chance. Albion get their break in the 7th minute of the second half. A fantastic counter-attacking goal, but Neil Warnock will be wondering why Huddersfield committed so many men forward for that corner. They paid for it, and it's Albion 1, Huddersfield 1. And here come Huddersfield with Harrott. Kasumu at the far post waiting for a cross. It's floated instead for Radoni here. Radoni chests it down, drills it, goal! Huddersfield have won it deep in added time. Neil Warnock almost leaping onto the pitch in celebration. And the Huddersfield supporters in the Smed again go wild with delight. And Albion have lost it deep in added time. Only a third defeat since last October under Carlos Corberán on the way here. Huddersfield winless before today. Look like they've got all 3 points. Albion 1. Huddersfield 2.
Carlos, clearly a big disappointment to lose the match in those circumstances. What do you think overall?
No, exactly this. I think that the Championship this year is a different competition. The Championship this year don't allow you to have any type of mistake, because as soon as you don't compete the game how you need to compete, or you don't manage some game moments in the way that you need to manage, it's going to be very, very difficult to win football games. The only clear chance that we have maybe in the second half was the action of when the ball arrived to Maya, and he was in front of the keeper saved the ball, and immediately after we conceded the goal that if you want to win football games, you cannot concede a goal.
Also keeping the pressure on. Stern! Hutchinson! Oh, Isaac Hutchinson! From distance! 30 yards out, it flew, it rose past Owen Goodman and into the net. The Saddlers go ahead on 65 minutes, and it's a peach of a goal from their midfielder Isaac Hutchinson. A brilliant effort to put Matt Sadler's side ahead, his second of the season. Stirk to Hutchinson, and bang! Isaac Hutchinson scores. Walsall 1, Colchester 0.
Congratulations, Matt. How big are 3 points for those for your team today?
Mostly because we deserved them. We're coming at half-time, and we should be ahead in the game. Of course we should. The big thing for me today was we didn't get disappointed with that. We just kept going with it. We spoke about it after the Grimsby game, where we're on the front foot, we're dominating the game. We've started really well, but not being disappointed by the fact that we haven't gone in front. We didn't do that. I thought we minus the 2 chances which we'll come on to that they had, which can happen when, of course, they're pressing, and that's what Owen's there for. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, but minus those 2 moments, which I thought were born out of giving a few sloppy free kicks away and stuff like that, I thought we were great. I thought we were completely dominated the team, and should have been more. But 1-0 is a fantastic result. It's a fantastic. It's a special result, I think, because it answers a few. We've been frustrated by not conceding goals. It hurts me to my core. I thought it was a real team performance.
So it was good for the Saddlers there. A Slade triple play to celebrate their first win. Their second win of the season and their first clean sheet. Blues drawing 1-1 against Millwall, but Albion losing at home. A rare defeat at home under Carlos Corberán against his former side, Huddersfield. Also yesterday, it was the FA Cup first round of qualifying. Sporting Kansas and Darlaston Town were live on the BBC iPlayer and BBC Sport website in a lunchtime kickoff, and those watching were treated to a pretty good game at Sporting Kansas ground. Just less than 3 miles between these two teams, a proper derby, and it finished 2-2. So they're going to have a replay at Darlaston coming up. Just looking at some of our other local teams who were in action yesterday. I know Stourbridge got a 3-1 win at Long Eaton. Hale Zoen, they smashed their way into the next round, beating Rugby Borough 7-0. Alvechurch, who of course got a run to the third round last season, they beat Basford United by 1-0 at Lye Meadow. Bromsgrove Sporting as well will be in the hat for the second qualifying round as well. And as I mentioned, the Glass Boys, Stourbridge, winning by 3-1 against Nuneaton. As for the Glass Girls, at half-time in the Northern Premier League, that's the third tier of the women's football pyramid. Stourbridge in it for the first time after a couple of back-to-back promotions. They're beating Halifax 3-2 at half-time. That game being played in Yorkshire, so that's a good result at the moment for the Glass Girls. And Wolves women are goalless at half-time against Burnley in the Northern Premier League. It's also goalless with the men's team, Wolverhampton Wanderers, at Crystal Palace. And now it's time to split off, where we'll take the commentary to DAB Digital Radio and at Selhurst Park. If you stick around here on 95.6 FM, you'll get the second half of Liverpool against Aston Villa, where we're hoping Unai Emery's side can fight back at half-time. They're down at the break by 2-0. And as I mentioned, it's Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 0 on BBC Radio WM, your home of live West Midlands football.
BBC Radio WM Sport.
And we have just kicked off a few seconds ago on DAB Digital Radio and Freeview Channel 722 at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace against Wolves. The second half, and an immediate attack on the Palace left, trying to go forward into the Wolves penalty area. That looked like handball out there on the left by Mitchell, coming forward to join the attack. So it's going to be a free kick to Wolves at the break, and a satisfactory, if not thrilling, first half from Wolves has got them very firmly in with a grip on this game, you'd feel, but whether they can then go on and make it a win as they did last week at Goodison Park, we'll see. Whether they can change up a gear, or whether Palace will have something different that they can offer, because Wolves seem to cope pretty comfortably with most of what Palace showed in the first half. The teams still appear to be as they started, so a mistake on the throw from Wolves has given the ball up for Crystal Palace rather carelessly. So Wolves with Sarr in goal, Semedo, Dawson, Kilman and Ait-Nouri, a four at the back. In midfield, Gomez and Lamina, but with Sarabia on the right and Neto the left, Cunha and Silva, the two players furthest forward. And on the bench, Doherty, Traore, Hwang, Hugo Bueno, Kalajdzic, Totti, Gonzalez, Fraser and the goalkeeper Bentley. And for Palace, Johnston in goal, Mitchell, Gurhey, Anderson and Ward. In midfield, Lerma and Doucouré, then Schlupp, Eze, Ayew off the right, and furthest forward is Edouard. But that didn't really get anywhere in the first half, with Wolves strong in midfield and guarding possession carefully from the back. They kept the long ball from the goalkeeper to a minimum and chose to try and build up slowly and invite Palace to go and get the ball off them, which they were not terribly adept at doing for the most part, except for one dreadful scare that Wolves gave themselves, that Maximilian Kilman rescued them from. Wolves in gold and black, playing, as I'm seeing it, from right to left, which is to say that Kilman from my right now plays a pass forward to Silva on halfway, and Ait Nouri moving forward on the left side. Ayew was tracking him forward to Neto, and out comes Ward to make a challenge. Throw on the left for Ait Nouri. Lamina is coming near to him to offer as an option, so also rushing across late in the piece is Sarabia. But Ait Nouri in the end does throw it to Neto, and the man intervening is Ayew, and Ait Nouri's trying to spin forward with the ball again, and he's come up with it near the left corner, and now the little trick, he's given it to Neto, and Neto's driven the cross over, but it's gone over Cunha and Silva and Semedo. Semedo's run out to the right over the penalty area to fetch the ball back and gives it to João Gomes, and he's seen Neto waiting unguarded on the left and drives in his cross, and it nearly came for Fabio Silva, but headed out by Anderson, who's trying to wave his defenders out so that Wolves might be offside from the next wave. But they have the ball again with João Gomes, and again it's Wolves dictating terms in the early going of this second half. Gomez back to Dawson, out it comes to the left, and Neto's pass got away from him on the return from Silva, but back it came towards Ait Nouri, and as he moved back inside his own half to recycle it, he's pushed by Ayew. They've had quite a contest, which when it flared up resulted in a yellow card for Ait Nouri in the first half. Semedo also got a yellow card. Here are Wolves in possession again, denying Palace the football, but what more can they offer than that? Here's a long crossfield searching pass from Gomez, and Ward running over, trying to make sure it went behind for a corner. With Neto close by him, just about achieves that. John Ward, a real long server with Crystal Palace, has played more Premier League appearances for them than anybody else. Promoted with them 10 years ago, and has been around since the season they came up into this current spell in the top flight. Ball chipped over the top of the Wolves defence. Dawson's running back with Edouard and defends it very well. Made sure he got between Edouard and the ball, and then at the well-timed moment hooked it away from Edouard and safely out for a throw on the Palace left, same side as the Wolves fans are, a bit further back down the touchline towards the Palace goal. Silva trying to play the ball out to the left for Neto, but instead Ward gets to it, the right back for Crystal Palace, and he plays it back for Sam Johnston. 6 minutes of the second half on BBC Radio WM, on DAB digital radio. 0-0. Reminder that you can hear the Villa game live now on 95.6 FM. Now Ward has brought down Neto, and that's a Palace yellow card for John Ward. It's near this touchline, close to halfway, but Ward arrived late there, and he is shown a card by the referee Robert Jones. Neto plays the ball short back to Ait Nouri. 0-0. This is the last Wolves game before the international break. The first Wolves game after the break will be another one you'll be able to hear live on BBC Radio WM on all frequencies except online. That's on Saturday week, the 16th. Wolves against Liverpool at 12:30. That'll be our next live Wolves commentary. Between now and then, next week during the international break, we'll be with Walsall at Salford. And, of course, we'll have other sports news and updates in our bulletins throughout that time, and the live cricket continuing with Warwickshire for the moment away at Surrey, starting today in a game that'll run on till Wednesday. That's live on the BBC Sport website. Back heel down the right towards Sarabia. 8th minute of the second half, it stays 0-0, and the same pattern really as the first half, with Wolves enjoying the larger share of the possession, although not able to create an opening really to threaten Sam Johnston's goal in the early moments of this half. They are at least frustrating the home team. I wonder which manager will be the first to try and change up a gear. The onus perhaps will be on Roy Hodgson to do so. Wolves comfortable enough at 0-0. Now Anderson, and he's given the ball away inside his own half, tried to pass it out to the left, and Mitchell. Gomez was loitering and stuck his foot in the way, but Wolves aren't able to capitalise as the ball ran loose. And now it's with Lerma, and Lerma is also challenged when he wasn't expecting it by the hard-working Wolves midfielder Gomez, but again it doesn't come to anything. Eza immediately has to grapple with Lemina as he tries to turn forward and lost the ball. Palace have to go back all the way to their goalkeeper. Johnston clears to halfway, doesn't find Eza. Lemina was there first. They try again, heading it towards Edouard, and Kilman strong against him, and there's no open door for Crystal Palace at the moment. Every route they try, the path is blocked by Lemina or Gomez or Dawson. Ball played long out to the left towards Pedro Neto, and a header away by Ward. Looking at the statistics, the last I've got here says Wolves with 61% of the possession. Though I tend not to set too much store by those numbers, because it depends on the meaningful possession really. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it does illustrate how Wolves have been able to deny Palace much momentum in this game, which they as the home team would be looking for. 0-0. Whether Wolves can actually fashion that into a chance of their own to get something, we'll see. João Gomez grappling with Eza, and the referee has given Gomez a card. He ruled there that Eza was having slightly the better of that tussle and threatened to get away, and when he did, that Gomez grabbed his shirt and in fact grabbed him around the body to pull him back. So Gomez has been doing some good work at the start of the second half, but he was outpointed on that particular bout by Eza, and at the expense of a yellow card for João Gomez, his second of the season, and the ball played out to the left for Mitchell. Back to halfway now. Joachim Andersen, the Dane, forward to Decore. Now to Lerma, and back to Andersen. And again, Wolves, although they're sitting a bit deeper this time, are blocking every route. Liverpool 3, Aston Villa now, I'm hearing. So Nunez, I think, is the scorer of that one. Forward come Palace, out to the left, and across for Edouard, and a goal. Palace take the lead in 10 minutes of the second half. Mitchell finally getting to the byline, and Edouard running across his defender. He's had so little to work with, Odsonne Edouard, but he was in sharply there to knock it in at the near post past Jose Sarr, and Palace, having been frustrated for so long by Wolves, take the lead in 56 minutes as Wolves' concentration just cracks for a moment. The pass out to the left, Mitchell for once was given time to get onto the cross, and his cross into the near post found Edouard making a goal-scoring run, and Wolves' resistance is broken. Kilman trying to scramble across with Edouard, but his run was well timed, and that was a fine finish. In 56 minutes, Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0. Odsonne Edouard's third goal of the season already, and an opening that's been all too rare for Crystal Palace, getting Tyrick Mitchell, the left-back, advanced, got to the byline without anybody there to block his cross, and Odsonne Edouard made a diagonal run in, pursued in vain by Kilman, to score at the near post. Edouard the goal scorer, Palace 1, Wolves 0. Well, as you can hear, that has changed the sound of Selhurst Park, and it certainly has changed the required tone of the match for Wolves, because having put a fire blanket over Crystal Palace for the first half and 10 minutes of the second, now there is an opening for Palace. They've taken it, and it's up to Wolves to show that they can do something different. And Gary O'Neill is going to try and set about that by introducing Hwang Hee-chan, whose participation was in a little bit of doubt because of a hamstring problem. Eza is offside here, not by a lot, as he chased a flick on by Odsonne Edouard. So it'll be pulled up for a free kick. So Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0, and here Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0. The latest scores on BBC Radio WM. The football phone-in, a reminder, continues this week, weeknights from 6 till 7 every night on BBC Radio WM. Throughout the week, you can call 0808 100 9956. That's from tomorrow night on BBC Radio WM on all frequencies, including online. Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0. And now Wolves looking to regroup, waiting to introduce Hwang at the next break in play. But for the time being, they come forward with Kilman. Kilman to Aït-Nouri. Now Neto on the left touchline. He's had a busy game without necessarily being terribly productive, Pedro Neto. Just the one shooting chance that was tipped over. Dawson to the right. Semedo infield looking for Cunha. And Wolves wanted a free kick there. They felt that Gomez was upended, but the referee, having stopped play, whistles the other way. And Cunha's very disappointed. I thought there was a slide in there by, I think, Anderson. But he's disappointed. And it's a free kick to Wolves. And here's the change to introduce Hwang, and Sarabia is going to come off. Again, Sarabia is a very neat footballer, but it's hard to put your finger on a major contribution from Pablo Sarabia. Just feel ought to be a real major contributor to this squad. 26 caps for Spain. He's a seasoned footballer. A lot of experience in the top flight in Spain and France, as well as Portugal. But not greatly influencing the game again, although he's been part of what's been a hard-working effort. Forward comes Dawson. Dawson to Hwang, who for the time being has been introduced over towards the right. Now played through the centre by Dawson, and Silva trying to nudge it on towards Cunha, who is, I think, Silva tugging the shirt of the Palace player as he did that. Silva also looks a bit fed up now. Although it's going to be a Wolves free kick, it's going to be the other way. The referee is waving players away. I think maybe the ball bounced off the referee in the middle of that, so he's restarting it with an uncontested bounce of the ball. Silva plays it back to Kilman, and now a pass from Lamina, and Silva's popped up on the left and chasing across there. It was tidy defending from Doucouré. Got across with Silva to force the ball out. Here's the throw from the left in towards the feet of Cunha, back to Lamina. Now Kilman, Dawson setting it out to the right, asking Hwang to chase, but that's too much of Hwang, who is normally so nippy, but his first 2 or 3 paces there, he seems like his feet were in a bucket, and he couldn't get after that pass from Dawson. That wasn't quite where he wanted it, and it's brought confidently out of defence here by Guéhi. Strongest run forward he's made. He aborts it now, having got it over halfway, and he gives the ball out to the left instead for a touch from Edouard, and now work back to the left, to the right for Ward. Out comes Neto to challenge him, and it deflects out for a throw on the near touchline, the Crystal Palace right. with 17 minutes of the second half played. Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0. Edouard on 56, converting the cross from the left. Here's a throw down the Palace right touchline towards Ayew, and Lamina handled it as he was running across with Ayew. Bit of a tough one, really, with Ayew hooking the ball up and into Lamina's hand, but it's inevitably a free kick. From just in from the right touchline. Eza is going to deliver. Ayew on the 6-yard line. He's furthest forward for Palace. Wolves have everybody, including Hwang, back within 15 yards of their own goal. Neto is a one-man wall. Eza steers it past him, but it's comfortably headed away at the near post by Ait Nouri. Now to Mitchell. Mitchell to the left. It's chipped back into the penalty area, went behind Joachim Andersen, and a diving header out by Dawson. Neto wants to break clear. Ayew's delayed him, but now Neto does get moving, and Ward, as he tries to move in field there, Neto, Ward just held back a fraction, and that allowed him to steer the ball out for a throw to Wolves on the near side, the left, just inside the Palace half, with 27 minutes to go, and Palace leading Wolves by 1-0 on BBC Radio WM, on DAB and Freeview. And here's Neto trying to weave forward from the left, but shown towards the touchline, then loses balance. Ball's rattled out off the shins of Joel Ward. So another throw to Wolves, further forward this time, taken by Neto. Ait Nouri, was he upended there? Yeah, referee had a little look and then ruled that it was a foul on Ryan Ait Nouri. So Wolves will have a chance to put a ball into the penalty area from the left touchline. Neto to take. 6 in the penalty area. Need a good delivery, and they've been so thin in coming from Wolves for all the positions they've been in. Here's Neto swinging in, and near post. Oh, and a great goal. A really good header, and it's Hwang. He does have the knack. Introduced only 5 minutes ago, and Hwang with a well-crafted header across the goalkeeper and into the corner. And he goes over to be acclaimed by the Wolves supporters. Hwang equalises for Wolves on 65 minutes. Neto's free kick from the left, and that's an expertly taken header. They're checking the VAR, but I think Ward's playing them all onside looking at that replay. They'll take a look, but pending that, Hwang's header is making it 1-1. Well, it's 1-1 pending a VAR check. Hwang with a header from Neto's left wing delivery. It's come off Hwang's shoulder, in fact, but whatever it came off, it was expertly guided, head or shoulder, because it went right into the corner. Hwang running across the defenders was the front man. From the one replay I've seen quickly, it looked to me as though Joel Ward was playing them all onside, but a replay will have to determine that. We're on hold here, and it's a goal. Yeah, the referee confirms it. So Hwang's header will stand on 65 minutes. Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 1. Well, maybe I've given Hwang a little bit more credit than he deserves, in a way, for expertly guiding his header. But it bounced off his shoulder on the replay. Doesn't matter, because that was just as good, right off the point of his shoulder, and it couldn't have been more precise into the corner. He'll take that now. Eza with a cross at the other end and trying to catch Wolves out immediately after the goal, but well marked as the cross came in. Jeffrey Schlupp trying to leap for that, but against two defenders, couldn't get any power on it, and it's gathered up by Sarr. So the goal coming on 65, Hwang Hee-chan's 11th goal for Wolves, his second already of this season, having scored against Brighton. That goal didn't count for much. This one could, but it's the run that made it, I think, and Hwang has that instinct. He I would have to say, seems to have found it hard to win over one or two Wolves fans. That's been my impression. Maybe you'll advise me that's not the case, but I hear people grumbling about Hwang, but whatever else he does, he offers them a goal threat, which some of the other forwards they've had of recent memory haven't done so often. And he scored his second Premier League goal already of this season. And Wolves 1-1 at Crystal Palace. Now Anderson with a long diagonal pass out to the left. Mitchell trying to get there, and Hwang, he's back with him to stop another danger, any danger of a cross coming in like the one that resulted in the Palace goal. And a clearance from up the touchline doesn't go very far, only to Doucouré, and Ayew picking up now for Palace. Back to Anderson, across to Guehi. 22 minutes to go. 1-1 at Selhurst. Now Doucouré, 30 yards from goal. Doucouré to Edouard. Edouard out to the right. Ayew's got a bit of space here. Waits for the ball to come. Drives in the cross. Flicked off the head of Kilman. And away. Out to the left. And the throw taken by Lerma. Palace now trying to turn up the pace of the game, having held the lead for only 9 minutes. After Edouard's opening goal, now a diagonal pass out to the right. Ayew will get this as well, and he gets an early cross in, looking towards the far post. Keeper hesitated, and Semedo left to head it behind for a corner. He perhaps wasn't aware how close the man coming in behind him there, Jefferson Lerma, was, and could only really cushion it out of play. Sarr thought about coming for that, but decided it was too far. And so a Palace corner, first of the second half. Here's the delivery, swung in towards the centre and headed by Anderson. It glances through the penalty area. And Doucouré on the right trying to pick up, and he holds off Silva and now tries to drive it in. Lemina is there to block, and Doucouré's got a battle for the ball again. Lemina forces it away. Fabio Silva back to Aït-Nouri, and Aït-Nouri has found a little opening for Silva to play out of defence, and back to Aït-Nouri, and they've got it up towards halfway. Ayew's back trying to block. Now Guehi looking to go on the shoulder of Cunha. The next line of defence whacks it away. That's Joel Ward, all the way back towards the Wolves penalty area. And there's much more hurry and scurry in the game now than in the first half. Lemina back to Johnston, who has the attentions of Edouard, the Palace goal scorer, to Jose Sarr, I should say, but Sarr makes his clearance. And a first change coming up from Roy Hodgson to bring on Jean-Philippe Mateta, who scored a hat-trick at Plymouth in the week in their League Cup win. And he's going to be introduced now. A chip over the top. It's a tough one for Schlupp to chase here. Semedo's going to get there first. The ball will stop before it goes dead, though. And Semedo has to make a clearance up the line. Out for a throw, and here's the change. Schlupp, the former Leicester player, who hasn't really been found his niche in this match. He's going to come off, and Mateta, who is a big man, comes on to take over from him. Frenchman, they signed after an initial loan spell from the German top division club Mainz. Scored 5 Premiership goals in his first season in 21-2, but only 2 last season. Throw on the Palace left, and it's deflected off a defender as he came towards Mateta, and it's going to be a corner straight away, and Mateta is obviously going to be a threat at that, being one of the tallest men on the field after coming on. So a Palace corner, and again Wolves have everybody back. They head it clear. Neto will be the man in charge of sprinting after it, but here's the corner, and it's headed goalwards by Lerma and caught on the line by Sarr. Lerma got up for that, but Sarr in the end was perfectly placed, and he made the catch from a well-delivered corner. And forward come Palace again, bowling the ball up to halfway, Johnston. And it's with Lerma. Wolves don't have quite such a tight grip on midfield as they did before the first of the goals. And They go forward on the right towards Mateta. Kilman holds him off, plays the ball back to his goalkeeper. Clearance up towards halfway, flick nipped on by Silva, but Cunha not able to take possession of that. And it's moved back by Lerma to Gurhi. Forward down the left, Mateta trying to get there before Semedo. Near the byline, Semedo comes back to make his clearance, and bustling in the centre was Lerma to head it forward, and it's falling for Ayew, and Ayew draws a reaction save from Sarr. Ayew was too strong on the edge of the box for Aït-Nouri, brushed him off it, and his shot had to be saved. That was a fine save from Sarr. Aït-Nouri perhaps could have been stronger at the edge of the penalty area there. It was a careless touch, and Ayew got in ahead of him, and his shot was saved by Sarr. So it stays 1-1. I think listeners to FM may just have joined us for a few moments. We re-establish the line at Anfield. It's Palace 1, Wolves 1. And Jose Sarr's made a couple of saves in the last few moments. Throw on the right, taken here by Ward. And it was towards Edouard, but a foot in by the new substitute Boubacar Traoré, who's just joined the fray in the last break in play. And forward to Cunha, edge of the penalty area, in by Neto, and he found Boubacar Traoré in the area, but his touch was very heavy. Ward plays it against him for a goal kick. It's stage 1-1 here. FM listeners, we can go back to Anfield and Steve Herman. And here it's a goal kick. So Boubacar Traoré came on in that last break in play a few moments ago on the ground where he made his first appearance for Wolves. Just looking around the field as to where he's been introduced. I think Pedro Neto. No, Neto is still there. So I've lost Sarabia. So it looks as though I've lost Fabio Silva. Yeah, so Silva has gone off. And the player on is Traoré. And we are in the 75th minute now. And it's 1-1 between Crystal Palace and Wolves, and he has joined at Ayew. Crossing from the right, it was just behind Mateta, but it's flicked off a defender and come out to the left side of the penalty area. And Mitchell links up with Eze. Eze's found Edouard. Edouard with a shooting chance, couldn't keep it down. Just for a moment, there was an opportunity if he could have hit it first time on his left foot. He didn't seem confident to do that. And by the time he'd taken a second touch, he was under pressure from Traoré and hit the shot over. But 3 openings in the last 4 or 5 minutes for Palace. And they had so few in the first 50 minutes of this game. So again, the pressure is back on the Wolves penalty area after Hwang's goal, who'd hoped would lift it. 1-1 it is. Edouard had put Palace in front a few moments before that in this second half. Pass down the line towards Edouard, away by Aït-Nouri, but Ayew spinning in there busily to try and win the ball, and when there's no advantage, he gets a free kick for Aït-Nouri's tackle. Doucouré moving it on from the free kick. Out to the left, a touch there from Gurhi. Forward to Eze and back to Gurhi. 14 minutes to go. Palace 1, Wolves 1. A point wouldn't be bad coming here, but will Wolves be able to try and turn it up to see if they can win for a second away game in a row? Ayew coming in from the right, and he's tripped. So it's going to be a free kick, not far from the edge of the penalty area. Drive in field by Ayew. He's becoming more troublesome in this game, and I think it was the flick from Traoré. The referee gave it a moment to see if there'd be an advantage, but Traoré had the first nibble at him there. He's been very busy since coming on, Boubacar Traoré, but has given away a free kick here. Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0 in our other game. Palace 1, Wolves 1 here. BBC Radio WM Sport through until 4 o'clock. The football phone-in returns tomorrow at 6 and every night this week at 6. If you want to contribute today, you can send me an email to mike.taylor.02@bbc.co.uk, or you can send a tweet to @SportBBCWM, @SportBBCWM on Twitter. 1-1 it remains. Here's the free kick. Right side for Palace, not far from the edge of the penalty area. Eza could try a shot, and he does, and Sarr saves. High to his left, it's still in play, and over comes Neto to win it, and clears down the touchline, and Sarr had to be sharp there. Eza managed to get it around the three-man wall with pace. Ball put back into the area, knocked down by Mateta, and poked in by Eza. Wolves survived his first strike, but not his second, and Mateta, the big man, was the disruptor there in the Wolves' defence. He knocked it down, might have been off his back, but the point was he was causing problems for Aït-Nouri in particular, and knocked it into the path of Eza, whose finish past the advancing Sarr went in just inside the far post. And Eberechi Eze, the young England player, has scored his first goal of the season, and Crystal Palace lead for a second time at 2-1 with only 12 minutes left. The substitution of Mateta into the game seems to have made a difference. It was Kilman, he got it past there. Mateta, he got to the ball before Kilman, diverted it past him. It's 2-1 now to Crystal Palace. They've introduced the big striker Jean-Philippe Mateta in the last few moments. He scored a hat-trick in League Cup in the week. He hasn't scored here, but he's played a big hand in creating the opening for Eberechi Eze to put Palace back in front. Mateta, after a high ball at the edge of the penalty area, beat Kilman to it. It bounced down off his body, and Eze, running onto it, scored a few moments before. Eze's free kick had been clawed out of the top corner by Sarr, but Sarr helpless this time, and it's Palace 2, Wolves 1 with 11 to play. Ball clipped in from the right here by Semedo as Wolves look to respond. 2-1 Crystal Palace, Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0. The scores in our featured games on BBC Radio WM this afternoon. Here's Johnston for Palace as Wolves look to introduce their big man. Now Sasa Kalajic, a man, if anything, you become now the only man taller on the field than Jean-Philippe Mateta. It'll happen to him a lot this season. And he's going to be introduced, and so too is Hugo Bueno. So Kalajic, scorer of the goal that won the game at Everton last week, is going to come on, scored in the League Cup game as well on Tuesday. Eze looking to build up on the left, taps his pass a little bit short of Tyrick Mitchell, and Hwang, he's back there inside his own half, being hurried up to try and get the ball back to the goalkeeper. For FM listeners, we'll head back to Anfield, and Steve Herman's there. Oh, he's not there. So, apologies, broadcast line at Anfield has caused us some difficulties this afternoon, out of Steve's control. He's trying to recover contact from there. Here come Wolves attacking on the right with the ball played in towards Hwang, but it's gone out for a goal kick. It stays 2-1 here, and I think Steve Herman is back there now at Anfield to pick up for our FM listeners here on DAB Digital Radio. Crystal Palace 2, Wolves 1, and there are 9 minutes to go. It's 2-1 to Crystal Palace, Liverpool 3, Aston Villa 0, and the other Premier League game today is a 4:30 kickoff. That is Arsenal against Manchester United. There is a goal kick for Palace to take. Hugo Bueno has come on now, and so too has Sasa Kalajic. So Kalajic's now going to play up front with Matheus Cunha. Neto is going to play from the left, Boubacar Traoré in the centre, and Hwang from the right. Hugo Bueno has come on for Ryan Aït-Nouri, who has at times found it difficult this afternoon. It's not been an easy afternoon for him against Jordan Ayew, who has had more of the game as it's gone on. And Bueno now takes his place. I don't think there's going to be much to choose between those two as the season goes on. And here come Palace trying to go forward, but Mateta and Edouard slightly hesitated and allowed Lemina to recover the ball. Lemina's been working very hard in the centre of midfield for Wolves. Had superiority for them in there early in the game. Not so much in this second half. Now Dawson out to the left, looking for Neto rather, and it's headed out by Ward. Out goes João Gomez from the bench here, trying to. I just want to acknowledge Gary O'Neill here. He's walked around the outside of the pitch. Gomez wanting to do the right thing, got O'Neill's attention, just wanted to shake the manager's hand before he sat down. Good to see João Gomez doing that. Here's Traoré. Traoré forward to Cunha and infield towards Kalajdzic. Now Mateta, though, gets in the way for Palace. And forward they come again, looking to try and settle this with Eza out to the left. Now forward to Mateta into the penalty area. And Kalajdzic just come all the way back with him. And he's out there trying to mark him. Maybe two basketball players. Back it comes for Palace possession, though. Now they're enjoying the lion's share of the ball, and it's played short to Mateta, and a back heel has maybe set up an opening for Edouard to win it, and he does. 3 goals to 1. Odsonne Edouard's got 2, and again Mateta drawing defenders into the centre, and then supplied the pass for Odsonne Edouard to tuck into the corner. And Wolves made it so difficult for Palace in the first half, but now their grip has finally been loosened, and Palace have what looks like a decisive lead with 6 minutes to go at 3 goals to 1, and the introduction of Mateta has made the difference. This time Eza brought the ball forward. Edouard slipped it to Mateta near the edge of the penalty area. He drew defenders, and Edouard continued his run, and the back heel from Mateta. There was still a little bit to do for Edouard to finish it, but he beat the goalkeeper into the corner, and it's Palace 3, Wolves 1. So I'll update our FM listeners on that in a few moments. But Wolves, in the meantime, try to go forward on their right, and the ball played infield to Traoré. Traoré to his left for Neto, and Neto to Bueno. And Bueno, a chip in by Traoré, and it's blocked at the edge of the penalty area. And I'm afraid not. It's 3 goals to 1 now, Crystal Palace on 84 minutes. Odsonne Edouard with his second goal, and once again Jean-Philippe Mateta involved in his second contribution towards the goal since coming on as a substitute in the second half. As Edouard moved forward on the left, he played the ball into Mateta, who drew defenders and then back-heeled the ball back to Edouard, who still had a little bit to do before beating Sarr with a low finish into the corner. But Wolves, having held up Crystal Palace for so long in this match, are now seemingly on their way to defeat, trailing here with less than 5 minutes to play by 3 goals to 1. Eza back to halfway for Crystal Palace, who now just want to take good possession. They want to do a bit more than that. A chip forward towards Mateta, although he's offside. He lurches forward towards the goalkeeper anyway. Sarr holds onto the ball as they bump shoulders. But 2 goals in 6 minutes for first Eza, and then Edouard, both with a contribution by Mateta in the build-up, have probably condemned Wolves to a defeat, a 3rd in 4 games at the start of the Premier League season. Here's a ball in from the left, though, for Cunha, and it was looking for Kalajdzic, and it almost found him as well at the near post. It went out of Anderson's reach as he tried to knock it away, and Kalajdzic stretched for it, couldn't make it. And that was an unlikely chance from that position that Cunha nearly fashioned there for Sasa Kalajic, but it didn't quite happen, and it stays 3-1 to Crystal Palace. A long ball forward and a foul against Mateta here, jumping underneath that. So, with 3 minutes and added time to go, Wolves are still trying with Hugo Bueno on the left. Now Neto running in field. And there's a runner on the right. And that's Semedo, and he's found Hwang near the edge of the penalty area. Back to Semedo. And now Neto is going to have a shot from outside the box. And it's gathered up by the goalkeeper. Wolves, though, have had so little end product during the game. They've defensively and in holding the ball, they've done a lot of good things, but they, so far, haven't had too much threat on the Palace goal until it's too late. Only that header, or off his shoulder by Hwang. But nevertheless, a well-angled finish from the set piece. The only time that Wolves have been able to break through Crystal Palace for all the possession of the ball that they've had, and they have had a lot of it. This is Hwang to Kilman inside his own half. Hwang's covered some ground since coming on with about half an hour to go. Kalajic now knocks it out to the left, asks Neto to chase that. Ward has come over and chased it as well, and Ward just wrong-footed Neto to make a clearance down the touchline. Palace are waiting to make another change. Will Hughes, the midfielder who was formerly of Derby County, part of the Palace squad, looking to make his first introduction this season. As a Wolves cross from the left, he's too high even for Kalajic. And away come Palace with Eze giving it now to Lerma, and back to Tyrick Mitchell. Created that first Palace goal that broke the game open after 56 minutes. Lemina in the centre of the field for Wolves, trying to respond with a pass out to the left intended for Neto, and Johnston correctly calculates that the ball will go out of play before either he or Neto gets there. He runs across to make sure, and it's going to be a goal kick, and off is going to come Edouard on a hat-trick. He's not going to get the chance to try and complete it. He's going to be replaced by Will Hughes as Roy Hodgson settles for what he's got. But Edouard with 2 goals in the second half. The first to convert Mitchell's cross, and the second after Mateta's well-judged back heel, taking him already up to 4 for the season, Odsonne Edouard. And Will Hughes coming on to help see Palace over the line. The next time the fourth official puts his board up, he stayed forward to tell us that there will be a minimum of 6 minutes to add on at the end here. So time has not yet run out for Wolves, but trailing by 3 goals to 1, they're going to find it very hard indeed to come away from here with a point, having taken 3 at Goodison last week. Remember, the BBC Radio WM football phone-in returns tomorrow on 0808 100 956 tomorrow at 6. If you want to send me your thoughts in the meantime on Wolves, you can email me at any time to mike.taylor.02 at bbc.co.uk, and maybe we'll talk over them later in the week on BBC Radio WM, or indeed during a future Wolves commentary. Here's Boubacar Traoré trying to go forward. Now Hugo Bueno from the left to Neto, and Neto on his right foot, and his cross looping back towards the goalkeeper. Johnston caught it and just had to make sure that he didn't lose his balance and topple back over the goal line. He didn't. He used the post as a prop in the end. And it stays 3-1. Ball played long down the Palace right towards Mateta. Back goes Kilman into the corner to clear towards Bueno. And away by Dawson. And Wolves struggling to keep possession, and Eze's taken away from Lemina and moves out to the left corner of the penalty area. And Eze trying to spin his way through, but he can't. The ball brought away, but only towards halfway, and Hughes picks up for Palace, and this is just helping them use up time to get towards the end of the game. We've had nearly 2 minutes of added time already. Eza short to Mitchell, and Olaying it now, and they've worked their way in from the left. Here comes Eza, and he's going to try and beat Sarr at his near post. Sarr gets down sharply and saves as Eza tried to sneak that one in. That would have been rubbing it in. Semedo was given the run around there as they passed around him. But Eza trying to steer that one low into the corner. Foiled by Sarr, who's made 3 or 4 saves in the end in the second half. And Johnston in the final analysis is, I don't think he's going to have made any. Short corner, played on the left. And here's Mateta, and he's holding off the attentions of Semedo, and he's found a teammate, and the ball steered in. Lamina clears it away acrobatically from the target, who was Joachim Andersen, who was still forward from the corner. That was well defended by Lamina at the last ditch after Mateta again had just been too strong. Now Hughes on the right, and Lamina's got to try and contain him as well. And he does, at least at the expense of a throw at the Holmesdale Road end to the right, the noisiest home end here at Selhurst, and they are waiting to acclaim what in the end is going to look like a good win, although it took them a long time to finally weaken Wolves' grip on this game. Ward's throw, and towards Hughes, and Hughes tumbling as he jumped for that with Boubacar Traoré, knocked it out for a goal kick. And we've had 3.5 minutes of added time. A minimum 6 were indicated, and it's Crystal Palace 3, Wolves 1. And a ball played flat through the centre and headed back in response by Andersen. Knocked back to the goalkeeper, and here is a lump down the centre from Gerhit. And it's beyond Mateta. Tied it up by Semedo, and he gives it to Dawson. 4 minutes of added time gone, and Wolves looking for at least something else to take from this game. But they are heading at the moment for defeat. So it's going to be 3 points from Gary O'Neill's first 4 games, having been given a difficult task, to say the least, to come in with only a week to go to the start of the season. At least he's got some reinforcements to work with after the break. Deflected pass forward from Mitchell found its way to Mateta, but Mateta knocked it behind Eza, who was advancing quicker than he thought on the left. And it goes untidily out for a Wolves throw, but it doesn't matter too much now for Palace because they're within sight of the checkered flag in this game. And here comes Cunha on the left, dribbling all the way into the Palace penalty area, stopped by a well-timed intervention from Andersen, who then whacks the loose ball clear. And Wolves move it out to Hugo Bueno. They're still pushing for something, Wolves, if they can. Traoré across for Lamina. And Lamina out to the right for Nelson Semedo. And Semedo lifts the ball in, and it's headed up and out. Headed further clear. But only to Kilman. Kilman to Traoré. And now Lamina, and he sets it out to the left for Bueno, and Bueno to Neto, and a good cross and a goal headed in by Cunha. So it's 3-2, and Mateus Cunha has scored a goal right in the final moments of this game, the 6th minute of added time, which probably isn't going to make a difference to the result because there'll only be seconds to play, but nevertheless it was well taken by Mateus Cunha, his first goal of the season from a left-wing cross, and he got between the 2 centre-halves who were also trying to mark Kalajdzic. Well, there are only seconds left, but Wolves have scored to make it 3-2. Mateus Cunha, and it was well finished. Cunha and Sasha Kalajdzic attacked the space between the 2 centre-halves to get on the end of a left-wing cross steered in by Hugo Bueno. and Cunha headed in his first goal of the season. That was after 5.5 minutes of added time. The minimum 6 were indicated, and that is the end of the game now, as there were only about 30 seconds to play after the resumption. So Wolves are defeated here by 3-2. The goals from Hwang and Cunha not enough. All the goals came in the second half. Wolves had a tight grip on this game for the first 55 minutes, but gradually, like two arm wrestlers, going at it, Crystal Palace managed to slowly wrench control of this match. The opening goal on 56 minutes from Edouard cracked the game open. Tyrick Mitchell getting to the byline on the left for the first time in the match, crossed for Edouard to finish. Wolves had held on to things in midfield so well up to that point, but had been able to create precious little going forward. So it was a bit of a shock when they equalised on 65 minutes from a set piece. Neto's delivery glanced in by Hwang, which seemed an expertly guided header, but turned out to have come in off the point of his shoulder. At 1-1, Wolves tried to mix it, but Palace introduced the giant Jean-Philippe Mateta, and he contributed to their 2 goals that won the game in 6 minutes. Firstly, knocking the ball down, got there before Kilman to knock it down for Eze to finish on 78, and then supplying with Edouard in a neat return pass with his heel to put Edouard into score on 84 minutes. Cunha's late header in the end made no difference, and Wolves, beaten for the 3rd time in the first 4 games, lose here at Selhurst by 3-2, Steve. OK, we've lost Steve Herman's line at Anfield again just for a few moments. So you heard the end of that game, though, FM listeners, with Villa well beaten there by 3-0. So I'll steer us up to the end of the programme in a few minutes' time with a reminder that you can call BBC Radio WM on the football phone-in when it returns tomorrow afternoon at 6. With you throughout the week. Daz Hale and colleagues will be keeping you company from 6 till 7, and there's a lot to talk about from the weekend games. Albion beaten at home yesterday. Blues continued their unbeaten start in a 1-1 draw with Millwall, but there was a victory for Walsall with a memorable goal scored by Isaac Hutchinson, and then 2 defeats today for Aston Villa, behind almost for the entire match at Anfield, defeated 3-0 by Liverpool, and here at Selhurst Park, where Wolves have lost to Crystal Palace by 3-2. The top 2 divisions go on their international break now, but we'll resume live coverage of all 4 of them in their next games a week next Saturday on the 16th of September, when we'll have all 4 of those games live. Wolves against Liverpool at 12:30, and then that afternoon at 3 o'clock across our various frequencies, Watford against Blues, Villa against Crystal Palace, and Bristol City against West Bromwich Albion. In the meantime, though, we'll be following Walsall next Saturday. Walsall away at Salford. That will be a live game and will feature a couple of non-league games as well. There's also more live sport from BBC Radio WM in the meantime as the cricket season continues. Warwick is still looking for a high finish in the county championship, and we'll have updates on the radio and commentary online from all their remaining county championship games. They've started one today at the Oval against Surrey. The commentary continues on that for the rest of the afternoon through the BBC Sport website. But the latest from there is that Warwickshire, having put Surrey into bat, Surrey 247 for 4 in their first innings.